Hey, how's it going guys? Captain Kuba here and welcome to another God of War video. Now, I have pretty much made a living out of taking normal God of War fans going about their lives and changing them to suddenly be obsessing over small little details in the series that ultimately don't matter. And today, I'm bringing you the mother of these details, the ending of God of War 1. Or in other words, how the ending of God of War 1 isn't even canon. I understand this statement might sound odd to fans who played the game a long time ago. After all, Kratos killed Ares and then became the God of War. Which of those two details is in canon exactly? Well, those two details are fine. What I'm talking about is what happens right after he sits on the throne.
And from that point forward, throughout the rest of time, whenever men rode forth to battle for good cause or for evil, they did so under the watchful eye of the man who had defeated a god. They were driven forward by Kratos, the mortal who had become the new god of war.
This cutscene tells us that after Kratos became the God of War, he remained on that throne for all eternity, witnessing historical battles such as the American Civil War, World War I, and even modern-day battles. This cutscene becomes a problem if we take into account every single game that came after. In God of War 2, we learn that Kratos abuses his powers as the God of War and he starts destroying cities all over Greece. Zeus doesn't like this, so he robs his godly powers and kills him. And this officially becomes the moment that breaks the prophecy at the end of God of War 1. This honestly wouldn't have been a big deal if by the end of God of War 2, Kratos would have taken his godly powers and resumed his role as the God of War. But what did he do instead? He went on to kill the most important members of the Greek pantheon and moved to another pantheon entirely. Kratos at this moment is the God of War, but in power, not his responsibilities, meaning that watching over all the wars of history is not part of his job anymore, therefore making a big part of God of War 1's ending not canon. Now, the reason David Jaffe decided to go with this problematic ending for God of War 1 is because he wasn't sure if the game was going to be successful enough to ensure a sequel. And boy was he wrong. This is why the ending of God of War 1 gives you a sense of finality that other games in the series simply don't. It was meant to be the end of the whole story. So is that it? Are we bound to live in a world where a huge part of God of War 1's ending is not canon? No. There are two ways Santa Monica could fix this plot hole. The first one is the most simple approach. All Santa Monica has to do is finish the series in a very similar manner to God of War 1. An old Kratos sits on a throne and becomes the God of War for all eternity, watching over all wars for the rest of his life. So even though there was a break in the prophecy with God of War 2 and his travel to Scandinavia, the prophecy would still be intact by the end of the series. And yes, I know you're going to say something like, Kratos doesn't believe in destiny nor prophecies, and you're right. But just because he doesn't believe in it, it doesn't mean it's not real. After all, the prophecy of Ragnarok doesn't seem like it's going to be broken anytime soon, even though it's happening earlier than it was prophesied. And the whole lesson Athena was trying to teach Kratos during the events of Fallen God was to embrace his destiny, whatever that destiny is. So you see, Kratos coming full circle to embrace his role as the God of War isn't too crazy. But there's an even better approach Santa Monica could take to fix this plot hole. And believe it or not, the writer of the first novel needs full credit for it. Because you see, we've been going at this problem the wrong way. We've all assumed that this was a prophecy, but what if they were visions Kratos had as he became the God of War? This is what the God of War novel has to say about this topic. With each step, the sights and sounds of battle rush upon him from across the world and throughout all eternity. For time and place are different for gods. He fears for an instant or a millennium that his nightmares return to torture him, but he does not recognize the soldiers he sees. They wear metal armor and march in phalanx. Cavalry and chariots support their swordsmen, pikemen, and archers. Cross the Rubicon! A general bellows in a strange and foreign tongue, but Kratos understands. The novel goes into more details about the visions Kratos has. Just like in the game, he sees the Civil War, World War II, and many other historical battles. And that's the whole point. This isn't a prophecy for players to think about. It's an actual vision Kratos is having as he becomes the God of War. If we take this interpretation seriously, then we have to say that most likely Ares had the same visions, as well as anyone who hypothetically takes the throne after Kratos went to Scandinavia. This, in my opinion, is the best way to fix the problem with God of War 1's ending. Instead of it being a prophecy, it's an event that every God of War must go through. But there's another problem here, a problem that surfaced with the release of God of War 2018, that being the layout of the universe. I am so tired of talking about this topic, which is why I won't. I'll just say that the view of the God of War universe has been retconned or at least misunderstood for the longest time. I personally believe that originally David Jaffe envisioned the Greek gods as ruling over every country in the world. This is why Kratos is able to see wars from every part of the world, not just Greece. However, this view of the universe was quickly changed soon after they saw that the game was going to be successful. So they started to tease other mythologies and belief systems within their games, just in case they needed to branch out from the Greek setting. And with God of War 2018, this idea of different pantheons on the same planet was officially confirmed. So when Kratos takes a seat as the God of War, he is only the God of War for the Greek pantheon, not the entire world, once again making the ending problematic. The only way to fix this is with the unification of all the realms, something that I believe Tyr tried to do before being captured by Odin. And maybe this is where Santa Monica is heading. We know Tyr will be in the next game, and I truly believe that he is the man on the mural, so maybe the role of unifying all the realms will be passed down to another God of War, Kratos himself. So if the time comes and Santa Monica decides to end the series, Kratos can simply sit on a throne and rule as the God of War in a unified world, making the ending of God of War 1 a prophecy, not a vision. Anyway, what do you guys think about the problem with God of War 1's ending? Do you like any of my suggestions? Do you even care? Whatever your thoughts and theories are, make sure to leave them in the comments section below. As always, I want to give a big thanks to all of my members for supporting the channel monthly. People like Aussie Assassin, Ben Machine, Austin Hunter, Sean Awesomeness, and George KR, to name a few, are truly the backbone of this channel. I've been doing YouTube for a long time, and if I've learned anything is that this platform is incredibly unreliable. So it's good to know that I have those fans that go the extra mile to support my content. I would also like to thank everyone who likes and shares my videos. I know I keep saying this, but this really is a great help. It gets me in the algorithm, so please keep doing that. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe for more God of War videos. And with that said, thanks for watching, and remember, go forth in the name of Ragnarok.